Hi, everyone. I'm curator Lisa D'Amico, and I'm here with the incredibly talented artist Elaine Langer. And Elaine's piece in the Color of Nature exhibit is the first place winner. So it's a thrill that her work was honored, and it's a thrill to speak to her today. So, hi, Elaine. How are you?
Good. Hi, how are you?
I'm great. So the color of the sun is one of those pieces in the show for me as a viewer and as a curator that I would love to exist in that piece. Like I would like to just step into it. Where was it, where was the inspiration coming from? Is it a real place?
Yes, so this is actually a real place. This is in Maine, actually looking towards Acadia National Park. Maine is a huge inspiration for me. I have done a lot of work around and in Acadia National Park. A big goal of mine for this piece was just to make sure I really got a sense of like the place, the fog, the feel. This is the middle of the summer with all the flowers blooming. I'm also a biologist, so these flowers, yes. So these flowers I keyed out, and they are native flowers to Maine. They're called American sea rockets. So I was very excited that right on the shore was this huge patch of flowers. And you don't really think of flowers when you think of Maine, but in the summertime, everything is in bloom and everything is green, and it's a big contrast to the, very rocky landscape.
That's another aspect of this piece that I think people really enjoy is that it's a very natural combination of hard and soft, and it's beautiful. And the way you depict it is beautiful. It's not bold and in your face. There's really this subtle grace to it that I really enjoy. Tell me a little bit about your technique in making it. Do you work on site or do you take photos? How do you approach it?
So when I was in Maine this summer, I probably completed at least 2 to 3 plein air paintings a day. I do little plein air paintings. I do them 4 by 6, 5 by 7. Um, so I spend a lot of time just really trying to catch that atmosphere feeling because if you've ever been to Maine in particular, the fog, the way the sun is low, it's just a very atmospheric place. And trying to capture that in art, you have to get it down fast. So this was actually done at home based on several paintings, and I actually didn't even look at a photo when I redid this one. It was kind of a compilation. I also keep a nature journal, and I had the flowers, very technically drawn out, but I really wanted to be less technical in this painting because when you look at it, you don't see the individual flowers. You see kind of just this mass of green with little bits of what, specks of flower. And I really wanted to just kind of give that huge feel of how much there was there. It wasn't just a little stalk of flowers. So,
I have to ask this question. Which came first, biology or art?
ooh, so I started art as a kid. But I went to school to become a biologist. And when I was in school, I actually took nature drawing for science. And that changed my life. I've kept nature journals since I was 20. In fact, one of my nature journals, I tracked an owl that was a rare find owl, and I had a newspaper clipping as well as a drawing in my nature journal. And when I reported it to Cornell, they didn't believe me, like because I reported it many years later. And I actually had dug out my nature journal and said, no, this really happened. I had a very, very local newspaper article of a hawk owl and my drawings. So it got registered because of that. So you just never know.
That's great. Elaine, someday you need to do some kind of exhibit with your nature journals. That
I
would
would love
be
that.
fascinating
Yeah.
to
It's something
see.
I've done my whole life. Um, I go on and off, but yeah, I always have a nature journal. They're little, little.
Right.
I keep them in my purse, and wherever I go, my kids are in them, but I also track weather, migrations. I've been tracking bird migrations for years. So, yeah.
Fabulous. The materials you used in your piece in the exhibit, are they the same materials you use in your journal?
No. So, my journal is usually watercolor and ink. Pastel is not really great for journaling because it is kind of messy. I do have a couple of times where I've pasteled in my journals, and I have to just really be very careful with them. I usually put a tracing paper or something over it, but I tend not to do that. However, all of my plein air studies at this main trip were in pastel. Um, so I did it outside of my nature journal. I brought pieces of paper that I had cut up, and yeah, almost all of my studies, except for the very intricate, detailed flowers, which were in my nature journal, they were all pastel studies. I feel like pastel allows me to get the color down really fast and that mood. Like I can really feel a moodiness with pastels that I can't really do with watercolor. So
Many artists, including myself, feel pastels and watercolors are both very challenging because there is a lack of control with these materials. You are a master of both. You really are. Did you start off with these materials when you were getting more serious about art?
So watercolor was my first. I started watercolor really in my early 20s, and ink. I thought those two just really went well together. I liked how quick they were. I liked how portable they were. I had dabbled in pastel over the years. Every time I did a pastel, I said, oh my God, this is my favorite thing ever. But I never really got into it.
Hmm.
I finally said, I'm going to take a class because I really like the color. I really like that bold sense of color. And I was set up to take a class, and it was March 2020. So the day I was going to take the class was like a Tuesday, and the world shut down. And I said, well, I bought all the supplies. So I and I live in New York City. So I have no yard. There was no going out, and we had COVID in our building, and I have kids and all that. So we stayed at home for a very long time, other than our 1 hour walk every day. So I pasteled every single day for about a year. And that is how I taught myself how to pastel. Only like 45 minutes or so, but yeah, I did it I used to go to the gym after dinner, and pasteling kind of replaced that for that year. And that is how I taught myself. I took a bunch of online classes. That really helped because there were definitely things that I was confused about because it is a very different medium. And slowly I kind of keep buying more pastels. I don't even want to say how many I have, but I love it, and I pastel pretty regularly now. I think I like it even more than watercolor. I finally have been taking it outside, which is a lot of fun. They're messy, so that's interesting, but I'm getting better with it. It makes me feel like I'm really doing something because they're so messy. They're so fun. So
I think maybe you're converting me.
it brings out that inner child.
Elaine, this has been so much fun talking to you and so surprising. Thank you for sharing with me and everyone. And I really recommend that everyone sees your work in the Color of Nature exhibit, but also follows you because your approach, it's almost like a beautiful song you hope never ends. Your artwork is wonderful. So thank you.
Thank you.